Good evening, good evening. What's up, folks? Welcome to another edition of Pro Wrestling Talk, brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. So, I wanted to talk about NXT In Your House premium live event that just happened. So, want to recap that. Also, wanted to talk a little bit about the MJF Pipebomb, as well as the announcement from CM Punk. So let's get started with NXT In Your House that just finished a little less than an hour ago. So 6 matches total. It was overall it was an alright. It was an alright premium live event pay-per-view. Of course, this was streamed on Peacock. But let's get into it. First match was the 6-man tag team match. Legado del Fantasma versus Tony D'Angelo, Stacks, and Two Dimes. With, of course, the losing team has to join the winning team's side, pretty much. It was definitely back and forth quite a bit. I would have thought Elektra Lopez would have had a little bit more of a hand in the outcome, but at the end of the day, Tony D'Angelo's crew got the victory, and of course, Santos Escobar sitting there in shock, knowing that Legado del Fantasma has lost and has to join Tony D'Angelo's crew. Now, I mean, that's 4 people right there. I mean, that's Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, and Elektra Lopez. So, that's going to be one big dysfunctional family. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of makes sense. You know, Tony D'Angelo's, the rising, him and his faction is the rising faction. I mean, Legado del Fantasma's been around for a good bit now. So, I mean, this will definitely be interesting to see what they do with this storyline now that Legados have to join Tony D'Angelo's crew. So, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some dysfunction and whatnot, but we'll see how long it lasts. And then we had Toxic Attractions defending the NXT Women's Tag Team titles against Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Pretty decent match overall, but still very disappointed that Toxic Attraction retained. This outcome made no sense to me at all. Kaden and Katana have been teamed up in NXT for 2 years. Still could never win the Women's Dusty Cup. And still can't win the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. Like, it really makes no sense to me. Especially considering you really don't have hardly any women's tag teams in NXT 2.0 right now. The only, besides these 2 teams, the only other team that I can think of, I guess, is Valentina Feroz and Yulisa Leon. But you pretty much mostly see them on NXT Level Up. So, that's it. And I mean, I guess they could team up Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, but honestly, there would really be no point because I really feel like they belong in the singles title picture, which I'm already predicting Roxanne Perez being the one to dethrone Mandy Rose. But it just really bothers me that Katana and Kaden have been teamed up in NXT for 2 years and still cannot get a tag title run at all. You know, they're one of the legit tag women's tag teams, and they can't get any sort of run, and it's ridiculous. And it's gonna get to the point where, I mean, in a way, it's almost been like they've been Dakota Kai'd in a way. The only difference is Dakota Kai's a 2-time tag champ, but yet lost the title's first defense. So, which, really isn't that much better than what Katana and Kaden are dealing with. So, I just really, really felt like this should have been the night Katana and Kaden went over, became tag champs. But at the same time, it's a big issue that's going on in, with WWE in general. I mean, women's tag teams are pretty much barely existent right now. I mean, you just recently had Naomi and Sasha Banks walk out. The women's tag titles vacated. I mean, and then you have the NXT women's tag titles held by Toxic Attraction, which you really don't have hardly any legit tag teams there other than them, Kaden and Katana, and, like I said, Valentina and Louisa. So there's really barely any women's tag teams in general in the WWE. And you already got one set of tag titles vacated with no plans. So it's just, I don't know. I just feel like the women's tag team division in the WWE in general, main roster and NXT, is just, it's just flat out dead. It really should be flat out dead. But whichever. Carmelo Hayes got another shot at the NXT North American Championship against Cameron Grimes. Overall, great match. Just wasn't a fan of the multiple interference by Trick Williams. I mean, I just really feel like it's hurting Carmelo Hayes, because Carmelo Hayes is such a great wrestler, and I would love to continuously see his talent showcased. It's annoying to see Trick Williams interfere so much. Like, even throughout the match. It's not just like once or twice. It's like multiple times and then leading up to the climax. And it's just really annoying. But, with that being said and done, it played a key role. And sure enough, Carmelo Hayes hits the big winning shot and is now a 2-time NXT North American champion. Just like that, is a 2-time NXT North American champion. And of course, we all know that Solo Sikoa will be next in line to get a shot. But it makes me wonder, what's next for Cameron Grimes? I mean, he finally got that title. Is it time for him to go to the main roster? Like, that's something to think about. I don't know. But it might actually be time for him to go to the main roster. Not too sure, but I guess we'll see. And then we had the NXT Women's Championship on the line as Mandy Rose defended the title against Wendy Choo, which honestly I thought was the worst match on the card. I mean, it was just a very sluggish type of match, and I mean, Wendy Choo did her thing. Like I said, I just don't like her gimmick. I think she's a good wrestler. I just hate the gimmick. But, I mean, I gotta at least give Mandy Rose credit. She didn't cheat to win. So I can at least give her that. But, honestly, we all knew that Wendy Choo wasn't beating Mandy Rose. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I believe that Roxanne Perez is who's going to dethrone Mandy Rose. She'll defeat Tiffany Stratton in the finals of the breakout tournament, and she'll get her shot. And I believe she takes that shot against Mandy Rose, and I think she dethrones Mandy Rose. And if not her, then I really don't know who else would qualify to dethrone Mandy Rose. I mean, on paper, I would say Saray, but Saray's not going to get that opportunity. Let's just keep it real. She's not going to get that opportunity. I mean, she was just recently feuding with Tiffany Stratton and teamed up with Andre Chase. So I highly doubt that Saray is going to get an opportunity at a title in NXT. Let's just keep it real. Cora Jade, perhaps, but I mean, if anything, Toxic Attraction have the titles right now because, I mean, let's just be real. I mean, it's mostly to portray the hotness, heat, because, I mean, there are 3 gorgeous ladies. And, this is nothing against Gigi Dolan, because I think Gigi Dolan is good in the ring. JC, I really don't know that much about. And Mandy, I can appreciate Mandy Rose, reviving her career through NXT. I can appreciate that. I can. But at the end of the day, what is she mainly known for, TNA? Let's just keep it real. But I mean, they got a working stable and Toxic Attraction going on. So I mean, I get it. It's just I feel like Katana and Kaden have been long overdue for a tag title run. And being that they didn't get it done tonight, I don't think they ever will. I don't think they ever will. And maybe they get moved to the main roster, because honestly, they've been in NXT 2 years. So I'm just saying. I mean, they were both in the Mae Young Classic. I mean, I don't know what to say. Anyway, we had the NXT tag titles on the line as Pretty Deadly defended against the Creed Brothers. Of course, the stipulation is if the Creed Brothers lost, they would be kicked out of Diamond Mine. And thank God. Which, Creed Brothers' parents were in attendance. But thank God the Creed Brothers were able to pull it off. They had a questionable moment where they could have used the championship to attack and try to cheat to win. But they didn't. They won it the right way. And Julius Creed pulled off a beautiful shooting star press. I mean, very, very well executed shooting star press. And then did the sliding clothesline to get the 1, 2, 3. And the Creed brothers finally get it done and become NXT Tag Team Champions. Congratulations to them. Like I said, they had the first part where they won the Dusty Tag Classic for the men, and then it's good to see them finally turn around and win the big one and win the tag titles. So that happened. They get to stay in Diamond Mine, and if you ask me, I hope we don't hear a single word from Roderick Strong, and he puts some respect on the names of the Creed brothers, because they got it done on their own and they got it done without cheating. So congratulations to the Creed brothers. Very happy for them. They deserve it, and I hope they have a good tag title run. I really do. I hope they'll have a good tag title run. And then the main event, of course, was the NXT Championship as Bron Breakker defended against Joe Gacy. Stipulation is, if Bron Breakker got disqualified, then by default, Joe Gacy would get the title. A lot of close calls. I mean, Joe Gacy was trying to goad him into getting disqualified, by hitting him with a chair, by just doing whatever it took to get him disqualified. But Bron Breakker overcame that and overcame the hooded fellows, stayed focused, and kept the prize. Hit a pretty big spear. actually knocked Joe Gacy off the ring apron and broke through the announce table. That was a nice segment. And then he did his military press power slam finisher. Got the 1-2-3, and Braun Breaker retains the NXT Championship. Thank God, because I did not want Joe Gacy to win. I'm sorry, I don't have anything against Joe Gacy. I've seen Joe Gacy live back in Evolve. I like him. I just don't like the gimmick. I can't stand the gimmick. The gimmick just... There's only Bray Wyatt can do Bray Wyatt well. Joe Gacy trying to do it, just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. But definitely happy for Braun Breaker. So yeah, we got ourselves 2 title changes. 2 title changes tonight. The North American title and the tag team title. So 2 title changes. But yeah, overall, it was an alright. It was an alright pay-per-view in your house. It was alright. I'm not gonna say it was trash or whatnot, but it was alright. So now let's talk a little bit about MJF and CM Punk. So with MJF, of course, he let out the big pipe bomb this past AEW Dynamite, of course, after losing to Wardlow at Double or Nothing. Pretty much nearly got squashed. And of course, you know, he ratted on about how he's the best and he's the hottest thing, and how he's tried to put AEW on his back and just took a lot of shots at Tony Khan, trying to goad Tony Khan into firing him, called him an effing mark. I mean, MJF went in. He went in like no filter kind of went in, it seemed. And apparently, supposedly on Twitter, AEW has, I guess, unfollowed MJF or whatnot. So, you know, I don't really know 100% if this is, you know, part of a work, or is, you know, MJF done. Like, it still remains to be seen. My thing is, if he is leaving and perhaps going to WWE, I just really believe he will get watered down if he goes to WWE. Like, there's no way I think we end up seeing the MJF that we see now, that same intensity in WWE. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I'm not confident that they would do that. But I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, it sounds like most of it is a money issue, which, I mean, there's others that are getting paid more than MJF, and I guess he's not really, you know, getting due the money, like for an extension or whatnot, that the money is there. So, I mean, we'll have to see what happens, but it was a pretty big pipe bomb. Definitely very intense pipe bomb. And then CM Punk. Now, unfortunately, CM Punk came out on Rampage, addressed the crowd, and said that he is injured and that he will need surgery. So, he was originally going to relinquish the AEW Championship, but apparently Tony Khan does not want him to do that. Doesn't want him to do that. But CM Punk did get injured, and he will require surgery. And he was all teared up and everything, so he was very emotional. And, you know, promised that he would be back, better, stronger, faster, all of the above. So, in response to that, here was what was decided. They even posted on the AEW Twitter, like, documentation and detail. So let me just read this out. Let me read this out. So during AEW's live broadcast of Rampage from Ontario sold out Toyota Arena, CM Punk announced that due to injury he would be out of action indefinitely. However, he would not be relinquishing the AEW World Championship. So, Tony Khan, AEW president and general manager, has announced that the AEW Interim World Championship Eliminator Series, which will begin this coming Wednesday on Dynamite. So here's what it features. So there will be a battle royal featuring a whole bunch of the top competitors in AEW, which they're going to actually open up Dynamite with this match. The winner would advance to compete in the main event. So the winner of this battle royal would compete in the main event. Now, in the same night, the winner of the battle royal will go up against the number one ranked, which happens to be Jon Moxley, in the main event of Dynamite, in the Eliminator match, the main event of Dynamite. And whoever wins that match between the winner of the Battle Royal and Jon Moxley will advance and compete for the interim AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door, June 26th, in Chicago at the United Center. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling will be involved in this as well, as on June 12th at Dominion, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dominion, there will be a match against the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Hiroki Goto. And the winner of that match will advance and have the interim title match at Forbidden Door. So yeah, that's pretty much how this is going to get settled. The winner of the Eliminator match on AEW versus the winner of the Eliminator match at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dominion will face each other at Forbidden Door. And the winner at Forbidden Door will become the interim AEW World Champion. And then, when CM Punk has been medically cleared to return and compete, there will be a title unification match as CM Punk, the AEW World Champion, will face whoever the interim AEW World Champion, and the winner will become the unified AEW World Champion. So that's how they're going to settle this. Overall, I mean, it's an interesting idea, and I can definitely understand why they're going this route, especially considering CM Punk just won the title. And I mean, it's unfortunate. You hate to see when stuff like that happens. You know, when somebody during the match gets injured and they're able to finish the match and still win and become champion, but they're unable to continue forward. I mean, think about it. The same thing happened to Finn Balor, who became the first ever Universal Champion in WWE history, but he had to relinquish it due to injury. Same thing happened to Samoa Joe when he dethroned Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship. Even the same thing happened with Karrion Kross when he first won the NXT Championship. He had to relinquish it due to injury. So you hate to see when that happens. You know what I mean? You hate to see those happen. But I think Tony Khan and AEW handled this, I think, in a respectable, understanding way. You know, CM Punk's not really relinquishing the title. He is the champ, but they're going to crown an interim champ. And then when CM Punk is ready to return, then they'll have a deciding match to crown the unified champ. I think that's fair. And you have to think about, you know, other sports like UFC. The UFC does the same thing. They have interim champs sometimes. So I mean, You know, things like that happen. But you know what's really interesting though? The fact that they said that, John Moxley is ranked number 1, but when you look at it, well, okay. Okay, actually okay, so they did update it. Because before it was actually Wardlow. So Moxley was just moved up, but before it was actually Wardlow. Okay, so they did adjust it. So yeah, they apparently adjusted it. But it's funny because Wardlow was number 1, but I guess he got fast tracked to this opportunity. I don't know. It just seems really weird because Wardlow was number 1. So it's like dang, Wardlow doesn't get that shot, but yeah, it's kind of weird. It's really weird. But but yeah, that's pretty much all that I have. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. What did y'all think about NXT In Your House? Did you like it? What did you think about the outcomes? What did you think about MJF's pipe bomb? Um, what did you think about the CM Punk announcement and what they're doing with this interim AEW World Championship Eliminator series? Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. And thank you so much for watching. For another Pro Wrestling Talk, brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. Hope everybody has a blessed weekend, and I will see y'all soon. Peace.